But I mastered that style. It's like the 5 deadly venom. So all he had to do was get next to a nigga like that, and he could destroy it.
Believe in that, real. We plan to take the same strategy we use with Death Row West, mind over matter, taking all our weaknesses and making it into our strength. That all these people talk about an East Coast, West Coast war, they like the Judas was to Jesus. They only here to cause confusion. We here to bring money and to bring change. They here to cause confusion. All these weak rappers, Nas, all these suckers, they battling off of East and West like this is a game. This ain't no game. If this was chess, we'd be yelling checkmate 3 years ago, because we've been beat these. It's not a game.
The only way for me to come back is as Ego Valley. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to my channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang, notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the Super Chats channel donations, the Venmo donations, the Cash App, $ Boxing Ego, and the Patreon family. We working. Before I get started, ESPN Plus, use my link in the description. It does help the channel continue to grow in a phenomenal way. ESPN Plus, it can be found in the link again of all of my description boxes of all my videos. ESPN Plus, they got a ton of original content, docuseries, documentaries, archive boxing, and UFC fights for your viewing needs. It's $5.99 a month if you get ESPN Plus as a standalone app by using my link, or you can get the bundle, which includes ESPN Plus, Hulu, and Disney Plus, all three, one low price of $12.99. Now, the only way I could come to you is as Ego Valley. I see a lot of stuff going on in the world of boxing, and per usual, we got to talk about it. The WBC, I'm going to jump right into it, has shown an inherent and a consistent bias that I believe endangers the sport of boxing. Now, I'm all for rules, but those rules, there has to be some conformity. Those rules must be upkept amongst everybody. There's no person, gender, age, race, creed that should be above and beyond, or above the law, if you will. And I'm going to expose the WBC and this inherent bias from my standpoint using this video. A lot of what brought this up is the inconsistencies that I'm seeing. They're consistent at one thing, and that's being biased. They're inconsistent when it comes to enforcing the same ideals and rule sets amongst all of boxing. Most recently, we just watched Gervonta Tank Davis. He had a phenomenal performance against Leo Santa Cruz, right? He looked good. He got a stoppage. And you see on screen, Tank Davis is having to explain. He said, I changed my gloves because the first pair was uncomfortable. He got backed up by popular Ellie Sekback, who was at the glove selection process and has a video for it. It says Leo signed off on both fight gloves too. Now, you may be asking why he's even explaining his gloves. It was a clean knockout. It was a beautiful knockout. You guys will see some of the pictures on the screen. Leo Santa Cruz, he did as well as he could. But, he came up short. He came up short in the fight, and he was brutally knocked out. It went viral. You see, the pictures on the screen. But this was all brought into question by detractors and, haters and fans alike that were accusing Tank of illegally switching his gloves. Now, you see on the screen right here, Tank is being filmed on Instagram Live, courtesy of Floyd Mayweather, who has 24 million followers. So he had his cameraman holding his phone up, filming Tank getting his gloves. They show the whole switch and everything. You will also see right there with the Rona mask, you see the commission in Texas watching, and throughout this video, they sign off. Now, you have a representative who works for the WBC, and I talked about this on my channel, and that person was basically insinuating, you'll see on the screen, that something underhanded was done, or Leo Santa Cruz's team was dealt a bad hand, if you will. Dealt a bad hand, and there were some obstacles that he couldn't overcome regarding these gloves. You see, Saw the live. The gloves were not signed off by the teams. You know, these are just a collection of some of the comments. That's the commission. Gloves have to be signed by the laces, each one. You know, trying to school people. Gabe Rosado tried to clarify, like, hey, there's multiple gloves that are picked and selected for events. Tank explained that the gloves, the first pair, were uncomfortable. In addition, Gabe Rosado, a professional fighter who has a fight with Danny Jacobs coming up, he informed this WBC representative that, hey, in addition to them choosing multiple gloves, guess what? The brand that Tank switched to, that people are making a fuss about, are Winning brand, which are more protective. So they're better padded, and a lot of fighters use them. And I can attest to this because I've been in boxing gyms for years, you know, doing this. A lot of fighters actually spar with Winning gloves because they're preparing for their fights and they're trying to keep their hands protected and safe. You don't want to get any injuries. You know, we're talking about the big leagues. I've been to some pretty big fights, and I've been in some training camps of pretty big fighters as they prepare for those big $1 million fights. So you got to protect your hands, you know, because you get injured, your event gets canceled. That's food on the table for you and your family. That wasn't good enough for the WBC. They continue to say, I've supervised many fights when the gloves are chosen, both teams, blah, blah, blah. And basically continue to speculate that there was some wrongdoing that ultimately led to Leo Santa Cruz on the screen being knocked out. And I think that is unfair, inconsistent, especially when you look at the fact that Deontay Wilder has accused Tyson Fury of putting a dent in his head, having tempered gloves that weren't properly worn in the first fight, gloves that the shape of the glove can't really be explained by anyone. The WBC failed. They failed to even address this, in my opinion, in the proper fashion. And we'll get to that in a second. But let me switch gears to talk before about some more of the inconsistencies that we've seen within the WBC. As you could see, Canelo failed a drug test ahead of his Canelo versus Golovkin Part 2 fight. In that fight, it was supposed to go down Cinco de Mayo. You have a fighter in Canelo Alvarez who he hails from Mexico, Guadalajara, Mexico. Failed a drug test. He blamed steaks, said he ate and congested, he ingested, I guess is a better word, ingested contaminated meat. And the WBC's president, Mauricio Suleiman, all the way went out and backed Canelo, says, I believe him. He didn't do it. You guys see it on the screen. And I will link in the description. Says WBC, you see it on the screen, confirmed Canelo's drug test innocence following WADA decision. So they're backing him. Canelo failed a drug test. He had something in the system that he wasn't supposed to have, right? But despite that, they said, nah, he wouldn't do that. He's not a cheater. Now, Alejandra Jimenez, another friend of Mauricio Suleiman's, right, of Mexican descent, she recently, in January of this year, failed a drug test fighting against a black fighter where she arguably lost a fight against Franchon Cruz Dezern. Franchon Cruz Dezern lost her belts. People were, saying things about Alejandra Jimenez was on something and she was on drugs, and, they were commenting on her physical appearance, we'll say. The WBC completely went to bat for her. And there's videos or articles, I guess you could say, where Mauricio Suleiman and the WBC pledged their allegiance to Alejandra Jimenez, says, you guys are bullies. This is disgusting behavior. She's clean. Nothing's on. Then she failed a drug test. Even after failing that drug test, you guys see WBC president, I believe Alejandra Jimenez and her testimonies of innocence. So a second fighter of Mexican descent failed a drug test. This is not a matter of opinion. This is not a matter of, being racist. This fighter, said fighter, had banned substances in their system. Keep in mind, the WBC have a clean boxing program. So they're supposed to be cleaning up the sport. But, you have a second fighter of Mexican heritage. First, what we talked about was Canelo. Second was Alejandra Jimenez. And you see what the WBC said. I believe her and her testimonies of innocence. Suleiman goes on to say, you see the pictures, he takes forever to give Franchon Cruz Dezern her belt back. He says, and I quote, this will be in the description box. I personally believe her and her testimonies of innocence. Science has not been able to demonstrate how the positive test came about. So he reveals and admits that they have no explanation of why she has this banned substance in her system. Science has not been able to explain, aka we have no justification or rationale or reasoning why she had this in her system, but I still believe her. It says she has 4 negative tests and 1 positive in this process. It is a mystery in this doping issue. So maybe she was flushing it out of her system, and then, you know, one test showed the remnants and trace, and you can't beat all the tests. It's random drug testing. But for some reason, the WBC went to bat for Canelo. I believe his innocence. Went to bat for Alejandra Jimenez. I believe her innocence. 2 fighters of Mexican heritage. The WBC, keep in mind, they were founded in Mexico, right? Which leads me to Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury Glovegate. Now, in the case of Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder, let's talk about it. And before I move on off the Clenbuterol stuff, let's just look at this. The WBC reveals new rules for the banned drug Clenbuterol. So after Canelo Alvarez failed a drug test, the WBC, they changed their rules. You guys see, WBC to use higher Clenbuterol standard after 5 Mexican, it says WBC to use higher Clenbuterol standards after 5 Mexican drug test fails. That is the title of this article. So you had a series of different fighters, Canelo included, a Canelo Promotions fighter in Julio Cesar Martinez, Ray Vargas, and a couple other people who failed. And in the past, Eric Morales failed. He's from Mexico, as well as Francisco Vargas, Luis Neri, right? These different fighters have failed, right? It says the level of Clenbuterol and related substances in cases to date, blah, blah, blah. So after that, the WBC said, to hell with this. We're going to increase how much Clenbuterol you can have in your system. And tell me this is not biased, right? That would be like the state of California. I live in California. The California CHP, Highway Patrol. And let's say one summer, the DUIs are through the roof over the summer. They're busting a lot of people. They wouldn't lower the BAC, blood alcohol concentration level, and allow for more alcohol in your system because we busted so many people this summer. You know, if anything, that is bringing awareness that this is a real life problem and we should probably have more CHP out, not change the levels. But the WBC, they felt different. They felt the need to change, as you guys see from this ESPN article. WBC reveals new rules for banned drugs, the banned drug Clenbuterol. Dan Rafael, this is November 7th of 2019. The string of Mexican boxers testing positive for the banned substance Clenbuterol has included Canelo Alvarez, Luis Neri, Francisco Vargas, and in recent days, Ray Vargas and Julio Cesar Martinez. So once again, per what I've been telling you, these are fighters, Canelo, Luis Neri, Francisco Vargas, Ray Vargas, and Julio Cesar Martinez, all of Mexican heritage. And they changed the rule after these drug test fails instead of just enforcing it stricter. Now let's move on to Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder. Smash the like button. Now, in the case of Tyson Fury Glovegate, I made a video about it. You guys see it on the screen. 11,000 views. July 1st of this year, 2020. The WBC denies Deontay Wilder backs Tyson Fury without investigating. That's the title of the video. So what happened was Tyson Fury beat Deontay Wilder by stoppage. Mark Breland threw in the towel. Wilder just came out a couple of days ago, Saturday, to be the day of the tank fight. And he says he believes Tyson Fury did something underhanded and manipulated had tampered gloves, which is what a lot of people speculated, henceforth, Glovegate. Without investigating, a day later after these claims, one was from Wilder's own brother, his flesh. Am I my brother's keeper? Yes, I am. Marcellus Wilder said Wilder, his brother, Deontay, had a dent in his head. The WBC, what did they say? A day later, they said, let's play it. Gist of it. So he did an interview with Sky Sports, and he said some very interesting things. Very, very interesting things. And I'm going to talk about it. So I want you guys to sit back.
I was in the dressing room in both fights, both Wilder and Fury dressing room. One was in California, the other one was in Nevada. In both cases, there were at least 3 inspectors on each dressing room.
All on tape.
I was there before and after the fight. I saw the hand wraps. I saw them with the gloves on. I was in the ring when they came into the ring, and I was sitting right there during the fight. At no moment in either fight I saw anything that would look suspicious whatsoever. After the fight, they take.
So he said nothing was suspicious. No investigation. He just said he was in the dressing room and nothing was suspicious to him.
Of the gloves, they're handed to the commission. It is just something that is very sad, because to try to take away something from a huge victory, one of the greatest nights of the sport in the century, to try to put a blemish on that event is so irresponsible and so stupid that it should not be even giving the least consideration.
Okay, so let's recap. Mauricio Suleiman of the WBC says it's sad, it's irresponsible, and it's stupid if you believe Tyson Fury, who achieved, according to him, one of the greatest victories in the last century. And in case you don't know, a century is 100 years. So in his mind, the win over Wilder was one of the greatest in the last 100 years. And if you believe, and you're hating, and if you believe Tyson Fury, any of these things, the Dent story or Glovegate, then you're stupid, you're ridiculous, it's irresponsible, and it's sad. This is what he said a day after Glovegate started to really cook. So a black fighter in Deontay Bronze Bomber Wilder, right, has this concern with Tyson Fury's glove. No investigation at all needed. And you tell me this is fair. Okay. But let me remind you, right here, you see the WBC scrutinizing and suggesting that Gervonta Tank Davis, this knockout that you guys keep seeing on the screen, over a Mexican fighter, Mexican-American, Leo Santa Cruz, this brutal knockout, suggesting that something was wrong. He didn't go through the proper channels or protocol, right? And this doesn't look biased to anybody. Okay. So Deontay Wilder, his claims, they don't get met. In addition, Wilder was a champion for oh so long, up until February, where it looks like he was cheated. That's what a lot of people believe. He never became franchise champion. You have another black fighter in Gary Russell Jr., never was appointed franchise champion. So Wilder had to listen to Dillian White threaten to sue and call him a coward and stuff, because White thought he was the mandatory and then later actually became the mandatory before losing to Povetkin. Wilder had to endure that, being chastised by Dillian White. But Canelo Alvarez, a fighter of Mexican heritage, again, as we mentioned earlier, Canelo Alvarez, he got this new illustrious position, the franchise champion, and didn't have to fight a black fighter, Jermall Charlo, instead of making that happen. Then there was another up-and-coming hotshot black fighter, Devin Haney, who was put in the position by the WBC up the ranks to become Vasyl Lomachenko, a fighter out of Ukraine, his mandatory. But Lomachenko's team actually authorized and petitioned to the WBC to become the franchise champion, just like Canelo, so they didn't have to be bothered with Devin Haney, an African-American fighter from the U.S., right? So Devin Haney didn't get an opportunity, African-American fighter. against Lomachenko. You have Jamal Charlo, who had been calling out Triple G, never got the opportunity. And you had him calling out Canelo, never got the opportunity as mandatory through the WBC against the Mexican star Canelo. And this is supposed to be fair. You know, it's supposed to be fair behavior that we're talking about. Lomachenko later would lose to Teofimo Lopez. Shout out to him on his performance. And it makes you wonder what happens if Devin Haney would have had the Lomachenko fight. Could he possibly beat him? We just seen Lomachenko lose for the second time in less than 20 fights. Definitely possible. And I got to bring this up. What would an Ego Veli video be if I didn't drop the heat? Y'all knew I wasn't going to leave you without dropping some real heat. So let's talk about it. In, I believe, 2013, there was a fight that took place in Mexico. You guys see it on the screen. It was Rio Togo versus Mariana Juarez. Mariana Juarez is a Hispanic fighter of Mexican descent. Rio Togo is a fighter out of Japan. Now, if you know anything about this, this was a WBC fight, and the fighter of Mexican heritage, Juarez, was knocked out. It was a rematch too, I believe. Knocked out. Boom. Right? Knocked out. Crazy knockout. She did get up, beat the count, but she was just badly hurt. So, you know, they decided not, they traded hooks. Boom, she on the ground. Couldn't get up. Let's fast forward. The ref waved it, you see? Fight over. WBC sanction. So Mariana Juarez lost the fight, WBC event, to the Japanese fighter Rio Togo. Now, it was later discovered some kind of way that the Japanese fighter Rio Togo had skin gloves, tampered gloves. Something was wrong with the gloves that Rio Togo was wearing, right? It came to the attention of, I don't really know exactly how it was discovered. And guess what the WBC did? Ring Magazine, WBC comments on the glove controversy in Mexico. So you had a Mexican fighter that lost, Juarez, and they commented on this. She got knocked out. And you tell me this is not biased. Oh, but wait, what about this? This is the best part, y'all. This is the best part. Make sure you guys smash the like button. This is Mauricio Suleiman in his office going through the channels he went through and the procedure he went through to investigate this cause. Hold on. We got to make sure the sound is up. Y'all got to see this.
Hello, my name is Mauricio Suleiman, Executive Secretary of the WBC. We would like to announce that we have begun an investigation regarding the situation that happened in a female championship fight last weekend in Mexico. The fight was between Juarez and Rio Togo from Japan, and there was a situation in which the gloves were tampered with. The WBC is gathering all the reports from the supervisors from both camps, and we will have a hearing with Togo.
So, in the case of Rio Togo and Juarez, a fight that took place in Mexico, where a Mexican female fighter was knocked out, and the glove it does look shady. Keep that in mind. You see the glove looking wrinkled. They said the gloves were skin. The WBC, their commitment was to confiscate the gloves and run a formal investigation.
WBC is gathering all the reports from the supervisors.
They're gathering all the reports from the supervisors. They need to know what happened, what went on. But when it came to Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder, what was said? What was said? No investigation. If you believe that Tyson Fury cheated, then you're taking away from one of the greatest victories in the last century, and you're stupid. Tyson Fury's denial of glove tampering received support from WBC's Mauricio Suleiman. So you see, WBC, you are now canceled. Tyson Fury's denial of glove tampering claims has received the backing of WBC president Mauricio Suleiman, who describes the allegations as, quote, ridiculous. So a black fighter gets knocked out by Tyson Fury of the UK. You're ridiculous. But a Mexican female fighter loses in Mexico, you confiscate the gloves and say you're running an investigation. Oh my gosh.
From both camps, and we will have a hearing with Togo's management to have them explain exactly what transpired during that situation.
Okay, so the team from Japan, Rio Togo, they got to explain what happened and why the gloves look like this. But Tyson Fury, he don't have to explain. You're not subpoenaing the gloves. Okay.
Here's the evidence. It is a critical and alarming situation.
Alarming and critical.
The so-called skinning of gloves seems that happened for this fight. We are very concerned about this situation, and
we are very concerned. He said we're very concerned. This is a critical situation. And he's pressing the gloves. He confiscated the gloves. They're having a hearing. They need answers from the team, Togo's team. Oh my God.
He's gathering information regarding this happening not only in Mexico, but other countries and other arenas. We are very concerned about the matter, and we will pay full attention to this situation, and we will inform accordingly of what happens after a hearing with Mr. Togo's management. Thank you very much.
So you did a whole press release and video when a Mexican fighter in Mexico was slapped. But Wilder, he don't even get a hearing, a trial. You're not pressing Tyson Fury's gloves in. You're not explaining why Tyson Fury's gloves are concave. Ego Veli, WBC, you are now canceled. Checkmate. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more sports. Get unlimited access to premium content with an ESPN Plus subscription. ESPN Plus offers a variety of content, including specials, behind the scenes, docuseries like Bruce Lee's Be Water, and much more. With an ESPN Plus subscription, you get access to a ton of classic archive fights and replays from boxing and the UFC. Big names like, hi, I'm Mike Tyson, come and watch my fight. Floyd Mayweather, easy work, I'm rich. And Manny Pacquiao, yes, it's up to my promoter, just to name a few. If that's not enough, you could get the ESPN bundle, which includes ESPN Plus, Hulu, and Disney Plus. All three apps, one low price. You don't want to miss out. Make sure you guys click that link in the description box of all of my videos. Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.